Some people come into our lives and they leave an impression on us. Maybe they tell us something that changes the way we see the world, or maybe they share a story with us that inspires us to take action. Helena Petrovna Blavatsky was one such person. Born in Russia in 1831, Blavatsky's life was anything but ordinary. She grew up speaking German and would eventually become fluent in 5 languages total. When she was just 17, she left home and ran away to marry a man named Peter Chittik, who was a colonel in the Imperial Russian Army. The two traveled together all over Europe before separating 3 years later in 1849. During this time, Helena gave birth to a son, but he lived only 2 short weeks. After this, she and her mother became estranged for a period of time, and Helena found herself alone in Paris. The book begins with a quote from the ancient Egyptian priestess and philosopher Isis that reads, "My name is written in the book of the heart and of the Ka." Blavatsky chose this quote for the title of her book because she felt that it symbolized the purpose of her work. Just as Isis sought to reveal the mysteries of the universe to her followers, Blavatsky hoped to do the same. Throughout her career, she faced much criticism and controversy, especially in academic circles. Some accused her of plagiarism, while others claimed that her ideas were too similar to those of other religious and spiritual traditions. However, despite the criticism, Blavatsky's work has stood the test of time and continues to inspire people all over the world. She was a writer, a mystic, a philosopher, and a teacher. Her work laid the groundwork for many of the ideas that are now considered to be part of the New Age worldview, such as the belief in universal brotherhood, the importance of personal experience and intuition, and the interconnectedness of all living beings. But perhaps her greatest contribution was simply her willingness to challenge conventional ways of thinking and to explore new possibilities. She showed us that there is more to life than what meets the eye, and that the universe is full of wonder and mystery. In doing so, she opened up new ways of thinking for millions of people and inspired them to live more meaningful and fulfilling lives. Today, her teachings are studied by millions and continue to shape our understanding of the world around us. Through her writings, she explored a wide range of topics, including the nature of reality, the origins of humanity before Blavatsky's time. There was little understanding or appreciation for Eastern traditions, such as Hinduism and Buddhism in the West. For example, she was an early proponent of the theory of universal causation, which holds that all events are caused by prior events and that nothing happens by chance. She also made significant contributions to the field of comparative religion, which compares and contrasts different religious beliefs and practices in order to understand them better. Overall, Theosophy has had a profound impact on the development of Western esotericism and has helped to shape the New Age worldview that is popular today. Blavatsky's ideas continue to be studied and debated by scholars and practitioners of esotericism, and her work remains an important part of the history of Western esotericism. However, through her writings and lectures, she helped to bridge this gap and make Eastern wisdom more accessible to Western audiences. She was particularly interested in the similarities between Eastern and Western esotericism, and argued that all wisdom traditions ultimately pointed towards the same truths. Another significant contribution of Theosophy was the emphasis on the importance of personal experience and intuition. Blavatsky believed that true knowledge came from within, and that it could not be obtained through books or academic study alone. She encouraged her followers to trust their own inner guidance and to explore their own spiritual experiences. This emphasis on personal experience was a radical departure from the intellectual approach that dominated Western esotericism at the time. The laws of karma and rebirth, and the existence of a hidden wisdom that had been preserved throughout history by secret societies. One of the most controversial aspects of her teachings was her belief in the existence of root races, which are ancestral civilizations that predate recorded human history. According to Blavatsky, these root races were biologically different from modern humans and possessed advanced knowledge and abilities. Over time, however, these races lost their wisdom and eventually became extinct. Blavatsky believed that humanity was currently in the fifth root race and that it was up to individuals to rediscover the wisdom of the ancients, if they wanted to avoid the fate of previous civilizations. Her teachings on karma also differed from those of traditional religions. Instead of believing that karma was a force that operated after death, she saw it as a law of nature that operated in the present moment. It was during this time that she had a pivotal experience that would set her on her future path. But sadly, she passed away in 1911 before being able to finish it. Despite her short life, she left behind a legacy that would change the world forever. Her father was a military officer and was frequently transferred around the empire. And so young Helena and her mother traveled with him. We might have some similarities to other people, but we all have our own quirks, hobbies, and interests that make us who we are. But according to Helena Blavatsky, this couldn't be further from the truth. She taught that all humans are interconnected, and that we are all part of one great family. This idea is now known as the New Age worldview, which emphasizes the unity of all people and the importance of living in harmony with the natural world. Many of the ideas that Blavatsky presented in Isis Unveiled and the Secret Doctrine have become commonplace today. For example, the idea of universal brotherhood is now a widely held belief among New Agers. Similarly, her teachings on reincarnation have been accepted by many as a more realistic and compassionate explanation for human suffering than the traditional religious view of hell. Additionally, her emphasis on personal responsibility and the law of cause and effect has resonated with many people who are looking for a more meaningful and purposeful life. Helena later said that she had known them in other lives, but in this life, she first met them in the city of Alexandria. According to Helena, these men were highly evolved spiritual beings known as Mahatmas, meaning great souls. They were Tibetan monks who had lived in solitude in the Himalayas for many years, studying ancient wisdom and attaining high levels of enlightenment. Helena explained that these brothers represented a secret society of enlightened beings that had existed in the Himalayas for thousands of years. This secret society was known as the Mahatmas. The brothers explained to Helena that their society was dedicated to preserving ancient wisdom and preparing humanity for a new age of spiritual awakening. They said that Helena was destined to help spread their teachings to the West. But when Helena was only 6 years old, her parents were divorced. She spent several years learning about their wisdom and traditions before returning to Europe to share their teachings with others. In 1879, she co-founded the Theosophical Society with Henry Steele Olcott and William Quan Judge. The purpose of the group was to foster the study of comparative religion, philosophy, and science. The Theosophical Society quickly grew and spread its message around the world. In 1882, Blavatsky embarked on a major tour of America and Europe. The following year, she moved to London, where she continued to write and lecture about her experiences in India. And then, shortly after, her father died. This left her mother, brother, and sister, along with a large hole in Helena's heart. She missed her dad dearly and often felt insecure because of her father's absence. It was at this time that she began developing psychic abilities and having mystical experiences. These occurrences helped fill the void in her heart and gave her a sense of comfort and security. While she didn't live to be very old, dying at 51 from complications following an appendectomy, she managed to make a huge impact on the world during her short time here. She wrote about secret wisdom traditions that helped to shape our understanding of ancient esotericism. She founded the modern Theosophical Society and inspired others to seek deeper truths beyond the limitations of conventional society. Her work helped to lay the foundation for many of the metaphysical ideas which are commonplace today, including things like past lives, the power of the subconscious mind, and the concept of universal brotherhood. She also had a significant impact on other fields such as art, music, and literature, influencing everyone from Albert Schweitzer to Carl Jung. So here's the story of this extraordinary woman and how Helena Blavatsky changed the world. Sometimes people can influence our lives without even knowing it. And while it may seem silly to say that one person can change the world, there are a few who have. Blavatsky was born in 1831 in the Russian Empire to a family of ethnic Germans. But these special events didn't end with childhood. In the spring of 1851, she met a man named Mahatma Maurya and his brother, Kot Humi. So in 1854, Helena traveled to India to study under these Himalayan masters. In 1888, she published her magnum opus, Isis Unveiled, a 2-volume work that presented the core teachings of Theosophy. In 1899, she published her second major work, The Secret Doctrine, which further elaborated on her teachings. If we're honest, most of us tend to think of ourselves as pretty unique. However, not everyone has been so accepting of Blavatsky's ideas. One of the most significant contributions of Theosophy is the introduction of Eastern philosophies and religions to the West. In addition to these broader contributions, Blavatsky also made specific contributions to various fields of study. It's hard to say exactly how Helena Blavatsky changed the world because she touched on so many different subjects and inspired so many different fields. Now, if you want to learn more about esotericism or the history of New Age ideas, stay tuned for more information. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.